Welcome everyone. I am Mr. Goldenbaum, and this is Supremacy 1914. We are back on the Scattered America map. Last time, I believe we started our invasion of South Dakota after wrapping up Missouri, and we decided to go through this AI route as well. Why? Why would we do that? If we flip over here to Province Morale, these were some of his highest morale provinces. And so what we were able to do is approach with a rather large force. And even though cavalry was more of an offensive unit, they're still really good on defense. Plus they have those 5 additional hit points. So significantly better than infantry, even if it might not be cost effective in a lot of situations. But what we were able to do is bring our Hank forces right on the border of his double grain province that I'm pretty sure was feeding his entire country, and station Tatiana just within range to be able to bomb, so around here, as well as our artillery units just on the border. So we were able to shell out a lot of the forces there, and what ended up happening is they took one of their massive stacks here led by Lawrence of Arabia, and I'm pretty sure they had a really high level Lawrence. If we flip through here, I can't recall if they had a level 10 or maybe it was like a level 8, but you can see he has a really nice attack boost at that point, plus the movement speed bonus. And Lawrence, actually, if I go back here, he's got 75 hit points. He's got 20 damage, so you give that like almost a 200% bonus. I mean, this guy's better than a tank. So he was able to reinforce with his troops in Gothenburg, launch an attack, and we were able to dwindle down his forces as we had more hit points than he had. And so even though he had a larger attack than we had defense, since we mostly had infantry, over time, as his troop counts went under 50, his attack power started to decrease, his cavalry started to disappear, our artillery continued to fire along with Tatiana, and we were able to eliminate, it probably was at least 100,000 troops in this area alone. And not only that, we had additional forces that were reinforcing the La Plata region with an additional level 2 fort, and it's not level 2 anymore, but it was an almost completed level 2 fort before South Dakota went on another offensive. This is right after we declared war, with an army led by Orhan, which I believe had some armored cars in there. I can't recall if there was a tank mixed in, but some pretty high morale troops either way with a decent amount of hit points. The trades looked pretty even at first, but over time, with a fortification that was reducing our damage taken by 45%, and their troops eventually dwindling down since I believe we had more infantry, we were able to eliminate that army as well. In the east, he brought his forces a little bit further west, but he actually ended up going for the attack against our ally here in Louisiana. And I can't recall if that was off the border here. I believe that actually was off the border here of this Litchfield area. As you can see, there's some artillery fire, I think Tatiana. So he actually engaged with Louisiana, one of Louisiana's strongest armies led by Lawrence himself. This one not being as good because it's only level 1, so there's really not much of an attack boost, but you still get Lawrence with 75 hit points, dealing a good amount of damage and defense, even on the defensive. Though, okay, so his bonus really doesn't help defense whatsoever, but 10 is still pretty good. That's significantly better than an infantry unit. He had Tatiana's support, and he was able to wipe out another South Dakotan army. And then the last big army that they have, I believe right now, is stationed in Omaha here on a level 5 fortification. We know because we thought we'd capture it, but an infantry spawned there at the last moment, so unfortunately we couldn't take a one-on-one infantry fight. So we did end up returning. But this, I believe, is where he has a rather large army sitting and waiting. I actually thought that he was going to use this force with tanks, with armored cars being led by Marco, and I believe he's got like an 8-star Marco, so certainly a lot of experience here with the South Dakota player. and he was going to launch an attack over in this Gothenburg area, but he hasn't. He's taken a more defensive approach than I would have thought, especially after all those losses. If we take a look at the paper and just check out South Dakota, South should be enough here. So we have Louisiana here, so you can see he's had some pretty good trades here. Louisiana destroyed 123,000 South Dakotan troops. And I believe the big battle here was the one that we were talking about here in Litchfield, where the 28th Army of South Dakota was destroyed after heavy bombardment. So even though they had engaged in melee combat, I believe a lot of times if there are ranged units involved in the battle doing damage, taking out soldiers, I think a lot of times it'll say after heavy bombardment, or unless it just happened to be that there were 2,000 troops left after a tick, and then Tatiana just happened to eliminate them both. But I thought it says that after heavy bombardment, if there was any artillery damage or any other kind of range damage done during a fight. And then on our end, you can see that we wiped out 200,000 South Dakotan troops. Now, our trades weren't as effective as Louisiana, since we were dealing with high morale soldiers from South Dakotan's army. I believe the force that attacked Louisiana may have been at half morale, because if you look at a lot of the provinces in the area here, I mean, you've got, what, 25%? Oh, that's YOLOs. Okay, if we go up here, I mean, it's still not looking good. 30%. I mean, if we click on some of these soldiers, they're less than 50%. 22 stacks. So the morale was not good for the soldiers that attacked him, and that's one of the reasons you don't attack or launch offensives a lot of time with really low morale soldiers, is even if you outnumber your opponent, you're not taking efficient trades, and you may lose more than you would have liked. You may even lose the engagement altogether. We do have some of our forces from the south here that were able to finally wipe out Mexico, and as you can see, their morale is not good at all. We actually finally made the decision to split up our cavalry units and our armored cars so that they can arrive at their destination about 6 hours earlier than they would have if they had kind of marched together at this point. So taking a lot of these soldiers from these low morale provinces and bringing them up north for us where we have high morale, we're able to raise their morale, and if we can actually mix them in with other high morale troops. So what the game does is it combines the morale and the hit points of all of those infantry and spreads them out. So if we had a single infantry stack with terrible morale that was just sitting in our province, 100% province, it would take many days before it finally hit 100%. But if we're able to dilute that low morale with a few other soldiers that are at a high morale, it would take less ticks since you're starting at a much higher place, and this morale increase would apply to all of the infantry in that stack at that point. We did have our first heavy tank show up in the fight. We actually were going to take Creston here before this large tank army arrived to intercept, so we did pull back at that point. Taking a look at our production, if we just flip over here to province administration and we take a look at production, which is a view I do like to look at when we're taking a look at all of the production for our entire country instead of clicking individual factories. Just kind of take stock of what we have coming online, which ones are the closest, do we have enough materials to continue construction of additional units. If we look in this situation, we have an artillery unit that'll almost be done, followed by a few tanks that'll be kind of close together here. We have enough for 2 tanks here or 4 artillery, so we may end up doing a combination. But we do have really strong resource production. As you can see here by our factories, we've actually been able to produce 4 level 4 factories, 2 level 3s, and we have a bunch of level 2s and level 1s, coupled with railroads and even some harbors in a few provinces. But let's take stock of everything that's happened. These units are in March. Let's take a look at them right away. These units will get there well ahead of my 3 hours. So let's just turn around at this point. We'll see if they move to intercept as we were going to attack him. He may have just stationed his troops in Scott's Bluff. If he pursues us, I believe their units would be about twice to 3 times as fast. Let's take a look here. Our units would have a speed of 13, but if I move this stack over here, 36. So it's almost 3 times faster, but not exactly. Something to consider here is if you take a look at the infantry, actually, if you click on the army, you can go down, scroll down here to combat influences and speed influences here. We can see that with the morale that we have, which is about 82%, there are no speed influences. If we take a look at one of his armies, let's say this one stack right here, and we scroll down to speed influences, we can see that because he's missing 50% morale, he does have an 11% speed penalty due to the lack of hit points. So his units are going a little bit slower, going at 32. Compared to a full stack, which would be going at 36. So that is beneficial, but it does mean that they're certainly twice as fast as us. We may just close this distance. So I just don't like losing infantry units if I don't have to. We do have artillery here. We will have our 6th piece reinforce our 5 stack. And we know we're not going to be attacked from behind because we have the 69 stack garrisoning this province. I do want to keep the morale high. I want the additional fortification, so we are building that. But that does leave a lot of our other forces to proceed with any kind of other offensive we'd like to do in this area. First things first, I do want to capture the province, and I will send an armored car to accomplish that. I believe the armored car has the speed of 25, whereas cavalry, it wouldn't be the 48 speed. They would take a penalty on enemy territory, and they have low morale. So sometimes it's just really hard to review the speed, so I'm just going to send them out there. Oh boy, that is... The cavalry here is significantly slower to the point that their speed is the same, and most of that is going to be due to I keep clicking in the wrong spot here. If we look at army details and scroll down, we can see they have an entire 21% speed penalty because they have lost most of their hit points with all the fighting, but we have managed to preserve their cavalry, which is nice. So we're going to capture this province. I don't believe he has anything else in the north. I don't know how many troops he has in Hastings. What I'd like to avoid is marching our troops north to take a province like O'Neill and Woodlake and march toward his capital, as this stack over here in Omaha will reach me significantly faster, and I don't want to leave us in a poor position where we're unable to react. In fact, what I'm going to do is group these troops up. No, I don't want to do that. I want to group these troops up, a stack of 87 with a heavy tank and coupled with this 49. So actually, let's take them all. What you can do is you can control click each one of these armies to combine them. I believe on mobile, you have a little button here that would say like add army, where you can click that, select another army, hit confirm. It's significantly slower. I like the little drag little wheel. So on mobile, I like holding it to get the equivalent of a right click on the PC to select troops. But that is another way to go about it. But we're just gonna control click, or I should say shift click, if it allows me. No, it was control click. It's been a long day, but we're going to get all of these troops to reinforce here. I don't want to reinforce here in this area, because if I was South Dakota, what I would have done in this situation is move this large stack and move to engage any one of these individual armies separately prior to them regrouping to increase our chances of doing the most damage and taking the least amount of casualties. Unfortunately, the troops over here in the east are a little bit vulnerable. We know there's not much to worry about from the west, so a 21 stack here should be plenty. We're going to move Tatiana up a little bit. We're also going to move the artillery up. I want them to regroup. We're going to hold this position. I believe we can... we're just shy of taking it over at Datik. It looks like the armored cars go about twice the speed of infantry, and I believe it's around 24 minutes where an infantry unit can capture an enemy province. By just kind of skipping ahead if you reissue the order within that travel distance. And so if we assume that the armored car, their speed here is twice as fast, if we cut that in half, it would most likely then be around 12 minutes where we would be able to make that call. And that would be just on the border here. It's not going to be a game changer, but if this was a situation where we had to capture this province right away, or we really needed to take the resources from the enemy, start boosting our morale, or take the production, I would certainly be reissuing that command closer to the day tick to see if we can capture that a little bit earlier. But this is good. These troops will stay here. We don't have... Unfortunately, since we chose to go for the heavy tanks, they do take longer to complete than a lot of the tanks. As you can see here, we would have finished about 10 hours earlier for each regular tank. But from my perspective, I'm not going for the speed at the moment. I don't mind paying, about 50% or less than 50% in some of these resources to get a unit that is more than 50% stronger, despite lacking a little bit of speed. We do have a heavy tank here, and once all of our forces regroup here in the Grove, as unfortunately we don't have premium, so we do have to do it the old-fashioned way and start regrouping a lot of our troops in the area. It's tedious, but these troops will certainly be put to good use, and I will bring them over here into the Grove because I do want to average out their morales so we would be able to get more at the day tick. We do have Fiona sitting over here, and she's been deploying us a significant amount of infantry for us every 3 hours. Only the cost of 450 and 6,000 in cash, and as you can see here, we are loaded at the moment. And I am going to confirm that. Unfortunately, it looks like these units have kind of glitched over with Fiona. Sometimes, or most of the time, it does a good job of separating the units, so only Fiona has the countdown. But if I separate this 4-stack and try to regroup with the other forces, you'll see that they are also stuck. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is. Like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, it's got to be a glitch, so just a recommendation, if you do need access to a large stack that Fiona is with, separate her out before deploying the units, or unfortunately, if you do end up in this glitch, I would just recommend hitting the stop button, and I believe that would stop it for... Would it stop it here? Oh, okay. So you can separate them, and if you stop it, it looks like we can use the units perfectly fine. And if I click them again, no 3-hour countdown. Okay, perfect. So you can get out of the glitch just by issuing the stop order and then reapplying whatever command you had at that point, and it wouldn't impact the actual deployment with Fiona. In the east here, we do have a lot of extra troops. I do want to keep them grouped up as I am still afraid of that large stack. I don't want any surprises. We do have some good fortifications in these areas. This fortress level 1 is pretty cheap, so we're going to build that. The units here are really just a deterrent, as I don't believe he can see my troop counts, at least over here in this area. We can see him because we have the armored balloon here. I mean, we have another armored balloon here. I say armored balloon, but I think it's just a regular balloon with no hit points. But as you can see here from our infantry, the the range, the view range, is just shy of Omaha, so I bet you he can only see up to here in that first level of range. I haven't seen... No, actually, I take that back. I do believe he had a balloon in this area here, so he is aware of my troops. But in a normal situation like this, I would still station 1,000 or 2,000 troops just to act as a deterrence from a few infantry units from capturing a province, kind of like what we were trying to do here. But unfortunately, we were a little too late. We did capture O'Neill here with this 1 infantry stack. We took Plainview, and I believe he is hurting on grain and energy. I'll still take this iron here, especially with it being relatively close to 70%. And in fact, what I will do is move on to Sioux City. I'm going to hit the forced march. He may intercept me, and it's only a single infantry stack, but if I can do damage to any one of these, I will certainly take it. And in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to keep him on his toes, and we're going to do the same thing here. Travel to this province here and actually give another tick to... these two are about the same. Let's just hit the grain because we know he's hurting. And I just want to cause a little bit of disruption here. If it works or not, we didn't lose a lot. Unfortunately, we don't have the resources yet to capture this level 5 fort. What we're going to have to do is move up some of our troops over here, capture Lincoln, give us a nice fortified position to threaten Omaha. And then in the west here, we're going to be taking our artillery force and slowly pushing through Hastings and regrouping with our forces here in Lincoln to start battering this Omaha force. At that point, we may have a few additional tanks and other reinforcements that we can continue to push the assault here to Pierre. What is going on? South Dakota's at war with 3 countries? Montana? Oh, geez. What is going on here? Who is Montana? Montana's at war. Oh, snap. Montana's a player.